Death has always held a universal mystery. For centuries, people have asked the same questions. What happens when we die? Is there something beyond this life? Do we vanish? Or does something, spirit, soul, live on? These questions echo across cultures and beliefs. But for those who work closely with the dying, hospice nurses and end-of-life doctors, these questions aren't abstract. They're intimate, often spiritual. This video offers a glimpse into what some call spiritual portals, the space between life and whatever comes next. These aren't myths. They're real accounts from seasoned professionals who've witnessed death hundreds, even thousands of times. And many say the same thing. Something happens. Something beyond science. This isn't about religion. It's about human experience. These are the voices of people trained to comfort and care at the end of life. They don't share theories. They share what they've lived. Honest, emotional, unforgettable moments. Here are 7 true stories from those who've stood beside the dying. They speak of what they saw, what they felt, and what changed them. Some doubted until they saw it themselves. Others believed and were still deeply moved. This video is here to offer comfort, insight, and the possibility that love and life might not end with the body. If you've ever felt a presence after loss or wondered what lies beyond, this is a journey worth taking. So take a breath, settle in, and step into the space between worlds, the moment when the soul departs. 1. Nurse Clarissa James. The room glowed. Clarissa James, a veteran hospice nurse from Savannah, Georgia, has cared for hundreds of patients over her 20-year career. Though not religious, she says death often feels deeply spiritual. One patient, 89-year-old Eliza Green, a beloved matriarch and former choir director, left a lasting impact. In her final days, Clarissa played gospel music at her bedside per her request. One quiet afternoon, Mrs. Green suddenly became alert, smiled, and whispered, "Can't you hear them singing?" That night, she began calling out to deceased family members by name. "Don't crowd in so fast," she said. "Let me say goodbye to my babies first." Clarissa described the room as feeling warmer, softer, and brighter, though no lights had changed. Even her daughter noticed, saying, "Mama looks like she's glowing." At 2:17 a.m., Mrs. Green passed peacefully with a smile. Moments later, they heard faint singing, layered harmonies, as if from somewhere beyond. There was no source. Her daughter whispered, "That's Mama's choir." Clarissa stayed silent about the experience for years, afraid of sounding irrational. But after witnessing countless similar moments, she believes these are more than coincidences. Light, music, presence. They happen too often to ignore, even among skeptics. She now sees her work not as sad, but sacred. "I don't rush after someone passes," she says. "I stay. I listen, because sometimes the most beautiful part happens just after the last breath." 2. Nurse Anna Delgado. The room lit up. Anna Delgado began her nursing career in emergency care, but shifted to hospice after a profound experience with her dying grandmother. Now, with over 30 years in palliative care, she's guided more than 2,000 souls through their final moments. One story stays with her. In 2009, Anna cared for Elsie, an 87-year-old former piano teacher with a vibrant spirit. Even as her health declined, Elsie joked she wouldn't go until she saw the light. A light nurses never mentioned, but she insisted was coming. Around 3 a.m., Anna felt a sudden shift, as if something invisible moved through her. She instinctively walked to Elsie's room. The air felt charged, warm, sacred. Elsie's daughter slept nearby as Anna sat beside the bed. Elsie exhaled her final breath and smiled. Then, for a few seconds, the entire room filled with a soft, glowing light. It faded just as quickly. Anna thought she imagined it, until Elsie's daughter sat up and whispered, "She found the light." Anna now believes death isn't an end, but a return. She's seen patterns. Rooms grow still, pets react, patients speak to unseen loved ones. One man saluted before passing, saying, "I'm ready." To Anna, death is a sacred transition, not something to fear. In those final moments, people don't speak of regrets or wealth. They ask about love, about meaning. "Did I matter?" they ask. Anna gets to say, "Yes, you did." She encourages the grieving to stay open. The warmth, a song, a vivid dream. Those moments may be more than coincidence. They're signs. Love doesn't vanish. It lingers. If you've ever witnessed a peaceful passing, Anna says, you'd never fear death again. Number 3. Nurse Linda Mason. Visiting the spiritual realm. With over 15 years in palliative care, Nurse Linda Mason has seen many peaceful deaths, but one experience reshaped her view of what lies beyond. During a night shift, she cared for Henry Montgomery, a 70-something retired teacher with end-stage heart failure. Henry was unafraid of death and often asked Linda about the afterlife. In his final days, he began describing vivid visions, lights, familiar voices, and departed loved ones. At first, Linda thought it was medication or illness, but his clarity and consistency made her reconsider. On the night he passed, Henry awoke from unresponsiveness, smiled, and whispered, "There's a light. It's beautiful. Beyond the horizon. I've waited so long." He described seeing his parents, his dog, and a woman calling him forward. Linda felt the room shift, filled with an unexplainable calm and energy. Henry took one last breath and passed with a peaceful expression. It felt like his soul was embraced by something beyond this world, Linda recalls. That night changed her. Once a skeptic, she's now open to the possibility of a spiritual journey after death, not just as a metaphor, but as something real, beautiful, and sacred. Number 4. Nurse Maria Thompson, a peaceful transition. After 18 years in hospice care, Nurse Maria Thompson thought she had seen it all, until George Harris's passing left a lasting impression. George, a reserved man in his late 70s, was dying from terminal cancer. He wasn't afraid. Instead, he often spoke of sensing loved ones around him, smiling at unseen figures in the room. While staff chalked it up to medication, Maria sensed something deeper. In his final hours, George's wife held his hand as he slipped in and out of responsiveness. Around 3:30 a.m., his breathing slowed. As he passed, Maria felt the atmosphere change. A stillness, a gentle warmth filled the room. It wasn't light, but a presence. Peaceful, sacred. Maria had witnessed many deaths, but this was different. It felt like his soul had moved on to a place of love and peace, she says. George had once told his family he'd be waiting for them, and in that moment, Maria believed he truly meant it. Since then, Maria remains grounded in science, but open to the mystery of what lies beyond. George's death taught her that passing can be more than an end. It can be a serene, spiritual journey. Number 5. Dr. Charles Edwards, the doctor who witnessed the soul's departure in ICU. Dr. Charles Edwards, an ICU physician with over 25 years of experience, was once a firm skeptic about the soul or life after death, until he witnessed something he couldn't explain. His patient, Emily Roberts, was a 28-year-old woman who suffered fatal injuries in a car crash. Despite every medical effort, it became clear she wouldn't survive. After her family made the painful decision to withdraw life support, Emily's final moments began. As her vitals declined and her breath slowed, Dr. Edwards noticed a strange shift in the room. The tension eased, the atmosphere grew calm, almost serene. Not in a clinical sense, but in a deeply emotional, spiritual one. Just moments before she passed, Emily's face relaxed into a peaceful expression, as though she saw something beautiful. Then, as she took her final breath, Dr. Edwards felt something unexplainable. As if something, her presence, her essence, had gently lifted and left the room. "I'd never believed in the soul," he says, "but in that moment, it was like I witnessed it leave." Though still a man of science, Dr. Edwards now accepts that death might involve more than physical processes. What he felt in Emily's passing reshaped how he views the boundary between life and whatever may lie beyond. Number 6. Nurse Anna Delgado, the room that lit up. Anna Delgado didn't set out to work in hospice care. She originally pursued nursing for the rush of emergency medicine, but after losing someone close and a powerful moment with her dying grandmother, her path shifted. For over 30 years now, she's been in palliative care, and as she puts it, has walked with over 2,000 souls as they left this world. One story, though, stays with her. It was fall 2009, Anna begins, seated in a softly lit room. "I had a patient named Elsie, 87, sharp-witted, stubborn, and hilarious. A former piano teacher, she'd pretend to play air piano even in her final days. Elsie was dying from heart failure. Her body was fading, but her spirit stayed bright. Her family visited often, and the room was often filled with laughter despite the sadness. What made Elsie unique, Anna says, was that she wasn't afraid of death. She used to joke, "I'm ready, just waiting to see that light you nurses talk about." The thing is, we never talked about any light. But the night Elsie died changed Anna forever. It was just after 3 a.m., Anna recalls. Everything was still. I was doing charting when I felt something pass through me. Not a sound, just a shift. I knew. I walked to her room without thinking. Inside, the room felt different. There was a warmth, not physical, but spiritual, like love, memory, and something timeless all at once. Elsie's daughter was asleep on the couch. Anna sat beside her and held her hand. She took one last breath, then smiled. Anna says, voice trembling. It wasn't a reflex, it was real. Then she was gone. What happened next changed everything. I stood to fix her blanket when the room suddenly lit up. Not like a lamp, it was as if the walls themselves were glowing. It lasted maybe 5 seconds, then disappeared. She questioned whether it was exhaustion or a trick of the light, until Elsie's daughter sat up and whispered, "Did you see that?" Anna nodded. The daughter said quietly, "She found the light." And they wept. What it meant. I've seen people go all kinds of ways. Anna reflects, some calm, some resistant, some joyful. But there's always a moment of stillness, and sometimes, something more. She's witnessed other unusual moments since. Sudden warmth in the room, the scent of flowers with no source, patients calling out to unseen loved ones just before passing. There's more to life than this body, she says. I've felt it. I've seen it. You can't unsee it. She describes a pattern she's come to recognize, not visible, but deeply felt. 10 to 15 minutes before a peaceful passing, the room shifts. Animals behave differently. Patients talk to people we can't see. One man, a retired officer, sat up and saluted, saying, "Yes, sir, I'm ready," just before he died. I believe we're welcomed, Anna says. Not judged, not dragged, welcomed, like coming home. Why does she stay in such an emotionally heavy role? Because it's sacred, she says. People think birth is the miracle, but I've seen just as much grace in death. It's the final chapter where truth replaces ego. Dying people don't talk about money or things. They talk about love. They ask, did I matter? Or was I a good parent? And I get to say, yes, you mattered. That's an honor. Anna wants the grieving to know, your loved ones aren't far. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not there, she says. Notice the warmth in the room. A song at just the right moment. A dream that feels too real. That's not coincidence. That's connection. And she wants people to release their fear of death. If you've ever witnessed someone pass peacefully, she says, you wouldn't fear it again. What do you think happens after we die? Have you ever had an experience that made you question life and death? Maybe felt a presence or had an encounter with someone who's passed? Share your stories and thoughts in the comments. I read every one and truly want to hear your perspective. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss future explorations into life, death, and what may lie beyond. Sharing helps grow our amazing community and reach others on the same journey. Thanks for being here. Let's keep exploring the unknown together.